Guten Tag, I am Lady Hadewig Handcart, and I will be discussing how to build your own handcart. The purpose of this build is to make a cart with the following three goals. First, purchase the least amount of wood and have the least amount of scraps. Second, be functional, easy to use, and authentic looking. And last, ensure it packs flat for easy transport. So the first thing you need for this project is lumber. So go to Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever lumber store you have close by and purchase two 1-inch by 24-inch wooden tabletop rounds, one 1.5-inch thick by 36 or 48, depending on your store, oak or other hardwood dowel. I got mine from Home Depot and it was 48 inches long. One oak 1/2-inch thick dowel. This is for cutting your hitch pins. Two 1 by 12 by 8 foot boards. Two 1 by 2 by 8 foot pieces of lumber. And two 2 by 2 by 8 foot pieces of lumber. You'll also need two items that will become hubs, which I purchased these bun feet. So you go to where the furniture feet section is sold, and they'll have these little feet, and they'll have little screws on them right here so that you can screw them into the bottom of your furniture. But get two of those. You can get this cube shape. There's a bunch of other shapes. Choose the one that you like best. Doesn't really matter as long as they're wide enough. Okay, so, and the last thing that you need is 4 round wooden 4-inch pucks, and they don't sell those at my Home Depot, so I had to go to a craft store and get those. And they come in just a standard thickness, whatever the thickness is. And if they don't have 4 inches, if for some reason they have 6-inch ones, that's okay too. Now, if you've never purchased lumber, I would like to point out that industry-wide, if you purchase a 1-inch thick piece of lumber, it's actually 3/4 of an inch thick. And if you purchase a 2-inch thick piece of lumber, it's actually 1.5 inches thick. That's standard, and it doesn't affect the instructions at all. Okay, if you're really lucky, your lumber store will also do cuts for you. If they do, get your 1 by 12s and ask for two 37.5-inch cuts. So you'll end up with 37.5, 37.5, and then the leftover piece will be 21 inches. So you'll have two sets of that. And then take one of your 1 by 2 by 8 foot pieces and have it cut into 8 12-inch pieces. And then the other 1 by 2 by 8 foot cut, have it cut into 4 17-inch pieces, and you'll have two pieces left over that are 14 inches, which you can use for legs later. Then on your 2 by 2 pieces, cut one of the 2 by 2 by 8s in half, and you'll end up with two 48-inch handles, and cut the other 2 by 2 by 8 into 4 pieces, two 25.5-inch pieces and two 22.5-inch pieces. So this is going to be what you end up with, all of this lumber. In addition to lumber, you're also going to need hardware and some tools. You will need one large square ruler, the one that looks like an L. You'll need a drill and a drill bit, a 1/2-inch drill bit, and you'll need one of these 1.5-inch hole cutters for the drill. You'll also need some exterior wood screws, and I prefer the no pre-drill ones. These are exactly the brand that I got right here. I just posted those. And you'll need them in 2-inch, 1.5-inch, and 1.25-inch lengths. And they come with a bit that you need to use them. You'll also need 4 long bolts that are 3.5 inches or longer, such as the ones that are here. The black just look nicer. They look like wrought iron. I like these ones because they have easy to grip handles for turning. So sometimes you have to look in the specialty sections for them. But whenever you get them, if you can get extra nuts because they're very easy to lose, especially out in the grassy field. Also, make sure whatever size you get, whatever thickness you get, that you have the right drill bit for it. You'll also need 3 3.5-inch bolts with wing nuts for attaching the axle. These aren't going to show, so it doesn't really matter what they look like as long as they have wing nuts, because you're going to be using the wing nut in tight quarters. Okay, so let's start assembling. So the first thing you want to do is get your two of your 37.5-inch boards for your floorboards, and then take the edges of them and draw a pencil line down the length of them that's 3/4 of an inch from the edge. Of course, the board is 3/4 of an inch thick, so you can just stand up one of the boards and trace a line, and use the other board and trace a line on this one, and then keep the lines on the outside. Next, you're going to butt the two 37.5-inch boards together with the pencil lines to the outside, like I said, and then you're going to take a 22.5-inch 2x2 piece and put a little wood glue on it and make it flush with the edge, and use 4 2-inch wood screws to screw it in. This will now become the back of your wagon, or the back of the cart. Then take a 25.5-inch 2x2 piece and place it at the top and flush with the front edge, and center it so that it sticks out 1.5 inches on each side. You can either find center and line it up with the center of your boards, or measure 1.5 inches on each edge and just make sure that it's centered on it that way. Put a little wood glue and 4 2-inch screws. Next, you're going to measure and mark 10 inches from the front edge and 11.5 inches from the front edge. Take the last 25.5-inch 2x2 piece and place it between these two lines, centered so the ends stick out each 1.5 inches, and put a little wood glue and 4 2-inch screws, represented here in green. Next, you're going to measure and mark 10 and 11.5 inches from the back edge, and then attach the last 22.5-inch piece of 2x2 between the two guiding lines. Again, use a little wood glue and 4 2-inch screws. This slide is just a summary of everything we just explained. Summary steps 1 through 5. Okay, next, you're going to flip the cart up vertically. So this is the ground, this is the back end of the cart, and this is the front of the cart. The front of the cart always has the two pieces that are jutting out. You're going to take that 1.5-inch dowel axle and center it across the bottom of the cart, flush up against this 22.5-inch 2x2, and pressed up against the floorboards. Having somebody assist you and holding it, you're going to drill 3 holes, center, side, side, all the way through the axle and through the 2x2. Once you've done drilling the holes, put your 3.5-inch bolts with the wing nuts in to attach the axle. And you don't need to be very precise, you just need to avoid hitting these screws. But the thing that you need to know is, because we eyeball it while we're screwing it, you'll always need to install it the same way. So like here, I've written top left right here, but you could put like a arrow pointing down and then an arrow pointing up right here with a Sharpie, so you know you always have to have the 2 arrows touching. I think that's actually a better way to do it. That way you're always installing it the same way. Next, we're going to lay the cart back down with the bottom facing up again. We're going to take one of the 12-inch 1x2s and place it 4 inches from the right edge and flush against the front 2x2s. Right here. 4 inches in, 4 inches in. We're going to hold it upright, and then we're going to trace around it with a pencil. Trace around it with a pencil. We're going to do the same thing in the back. Put it 4 inches in, flush against the 2x2, and then trace all around it and all around it. We're going to do this again, but this time we're going to orient our 1x2 this way we're going to put it flush against that pencil line that's 3/4 of an inch from the edge and flush against this 2x2. Trace, 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 trace. Now you need to cut these out. You can drill in the 4 corners, use a chisel, use a saw, but just try to cut them out. If you make them too loose, your side panels for your handcart will be loose and jiggly. If you make them snug, you can always sand a little bit of material away or use some kind of a chisel to chip away a little bit more material. You can always take material away, but you can't put it back. Okay, so this is what we have left. We have 37.5-inch boards, 1x12 boards, 2 21-inch 1x12 boards, and we have the 8 12-inch pieces of 1x2s. So gather all those up, flip the cart back over, so now the top is facing up. You're going to take your 37.5-inch board, which will become the side of your cart, and butt it up against the side of your cart and draw some pencil lines on it so that they line up with the hole, so you know where to put the 1x2. So you're going to draw your little pencil lines using the hole as a guide on both sides, and then you're going to install your 1x2s with 3 inches protruding from the bottom, extending at the bottom. Same thing on the other side. 3 inches extending at the bottom. I have a little error here, I see. And then again, little wood glue, and then your screws. You're going to use the 1 1/4 inch exterior wood screws. Use the correct size for the correct job. Next, you're going to take the pieces that will become the back and the front side pieces of your cart. These are the 21-inch pieces. First, make sure they actually fit. Like, install your 2 side pieces and then make sure they actually fit inside, that they're not for some reason it's a little long or they need a little sanding. They should fit perfectly in between your 2 pieces, front and back. You'll also notice that they are set in 3/4 of an inch. So you're going to attach the 1x2 little struts on this as well. You're going to draw your pencil lines using the holes as a guide, and then you're going to attach the 1x2s using a little wood glue and the 1 1/4 inch screws. You're going to do the same thing front and back, and pretty much that part's done. This is what you'll end up with so far. You'll have the front, the back, and the 2 sides, the base of the cart, and all the lumber installed on the bottom. So the next thing you need to do is install the handles. Flip the cart so that it's upright, and then remove the side panels and the back panels and everything. Then take your 2 handles, your 2 48-inch handles, and have somebody help you hold it on top of the wood that is jutting out. And then use your drill and drill a hole straight through the handle and through that little support that sticks out, here and here. Then gather your bolts and make sure, of course, the hole fits the bolts, and then install your bolts. Do the same thing on the other side. Now, it's the same thing is going to happen with these holes as with the axle holes. They're not going to be exactly the same on each side unless you want to measure them and make them perfectly exactly the same. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be the same. But you do need to put a little mark somewhere on your handle so you know this handle goes on the right side and this handle goes on the left side, and this is the top of the handle and the bottom is the bottom of the handle. So the next step is to do the wheels. Using a square ruler, you're going to find dead center. In order to do that, you take your square and you're going to put it up against your wheel so that the outside corner is against the edge. Then you're going to take a pencil and mark right here where the outside touches the outside of the wheel right here and a little mark here, then you're going to remove your T-square and draw a line between those pencil marks. You're going to move your T-square to another location. Make sure the outside point is touching the edge. Again, make a mark here, and then use a straight edge to draw a straight line between them. And you're going to do this at least 3 times. Now, in a perfect world, they would line up perfectly and they would be dead center, and that would be your center. But they're not going to be perfect because the edge of the circle is actually rounded. It's like beveled, rounded. So it's actually really hard to get the tip of the T-square exactly on the edge. So you're going to do this 3 times, and then you'll end up with kind of like a little triangle. So you're going to drill a preliminary hole right through the center. You're going to do the same thing with those 4-inch pucks. You're going to find center. Then you're going to take a screw and put a temporary screw through the puck, through the wheel, and through the puck on the back side. And before you do this, you want to add a little wood glue on the pucks. So you'll end up with 3 pieces: the front puck, the wheel itself, and the puck on the back side. Once you have that temporary screw represented in red through all 3 pieces, you're going to put your permanent screws, 4 permanent screws. You'll be using the 2-inch screws for this so that it holds both the wheel and the 2 pucks. After you have these in place, you'll remove the temporary screw from that dead center, and you already have a starter hole for your 1.5-inch wide hole bit. So put the little bit right in the center and drill out a 1.5-inch hole. And do that on both wheels. Then once you have that done, get your 17-inch 1x2 braces and put them cross grain wise and just screw them in with 3 1.5-inch screws and a little wood glue. Now you're going to make the hub. Take the bun feet or whatever furniture feet you happen to buy, remove that excess screw that they come with, and take your 1.5-inch hole drill bit and drill all the way through on both of the hubs. Once you have that, just slide the hub right onto the axle and make sure the wheel is perfectly flat against the wagon and that the hub is perfectly flat, all snug, no space. Then, holding the hub, drill straight through the hub, the axle, and the other side of the hub. Do it for both sides. Same thing happens here. It's going to be very difficult to be absolutely dead center. So each hub will fit only that particular side of axle. So again, put some kind of mark so you know this is the inside and it goes on the left wheel, and this is the inside and it goes on the right wheel. Next, you're going to cut the hitch pins with that 1/2-inch dowel that you purchased. Cut extra hitch pins, and they just need to be long enough so that they stick out a little bit on both ends. And you might want to taper one of the ends so it's easier to get in. But trust me when I say, make sure you have spares on you. Last, you're going to trim that excess piece of axle and sand it smooth. And then use one of your extra hitch pins, if you want, to tap out the hitch pin. That helps. Some people who made their own hand carts also put like aluminum around the edge of the wheel or even some rubber around the edge of the wheel. I have not, and I haven't had any problems. So pretty much your cart is now done. The only thing left is any final touches you want to do, whether it's decorating or staining or painting or wood burning designs. But one of the things is the little sides of it, the left and right side and the front and back side, they are a little wobbly, especially when you're riding over rough terrain. So you might want to hold them snug, and you can do that fancy-like by attaching another little piece of wood and drilling a little hole over here and passing the wood through and putting a hitch pin. Or you can do what I did, which is I just drilled a hole here on the sides, a little small hole, and I passed rope around it. And I actually do my rope all the way around if I want to, and just snug up the rope. And it works fine. And then also you have those 2 14-inch pieces left over, which you can make into some kind of legs by attaching it up here or on the inside part right here. I haven't done it. I just rested down on the handles and I haven't had any problems that way either. And that's it. Now you'll have a cart. So I'm going to show you me assembling my own cart in a little bit fast here. Let's see if I can get it to work. So here it is. Step 1, attach the axle. And see, it's a little snug space, so that's why the little wing nuts help. Now, actually, I don't take my axle off anymore. I just leave it on. I have enough room to keep it on. But if I needed to, I could, take it off and just help a little bit with the flat packing. Fingers don't work as well as they used to. All right, so there's the axle. Next, the handles. Now, remember when I was telling you should put some kind of mark so you know which one fits on which side? If you're trying to put them on and they don't quite fit smoothly, they should go right in. If they're not going right in, it's the wrong side. And if you force it in, this lumber grade wood is just a kind of a soft pine and you will crack the wood. So don't force it. If it doesn't fit, it certainly goes on the other side. As you can see, it fits really fast when it's the right one. And there goes the second handle. And this video is sped up at twice the speed, 2 times speed. So it took me 12 minutes to assemble and disassemble the cart. And of course, as you saw, I had some issues with putting on the handle. So in a normal day just takes me 5 minutes to put it together. Next go the wheels. Remember, those cross braces are always to the outside. You can see the pucks really well, those little craft hobby pucks. And then here comes the hub. And if your tire isn't flush up against the axle, like here, I don't realize that I haven't made it flush up against the axle. So I'm like trying to get the holes to line up and they're not lining up. So then I realized that it's not up against the thing, and there we go. I put it in flush and then it went right into the hole. So, and the good thing about buying all these things at the local hardware store is, again, since it is rather soft pine, if it is to break, it's really easy to replace any of these things. And then the front one, and it is assembled. And as you can see, the little string that's there, I have little holes drilled and I can snug it up with a string. I'm not going to tie the string. And you don't have to. And the other thing you can do is, of course, you don't have to put any of the sides on. You can use it as a flat cart. You can just have 2 sides on. You can just have the front side on. There you go. And now I'm going to disassemble it. The hole in the front has gotten a little bit swollen, so we'll need to do that, work on that to fix it. And you might have to do that as well. But once I get that one out, which is being stubborn, the rest of it comes apart really fast. The back piece, the right side, the left side, the hammer for a chock, the hub and the pin, and then the wheels, and then the handles, and of course the axle, which I took off for this demonstration, but like I said, I don't really take it off anymore. And another thing that I do is instead of putting all my hardware in a baggie, which is what I was doing in the beginning, I just leave it in the holes. And that hasn't been a problem either. But as you can see, those little nuts, they do fly around. They have a mind of their own. And the second handle. And now the axle. And that's it. Now it's ready for packing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Hadewig's Handcart. So remember, for assembly, it's axle, handles, wheel, hub and hitch pin, and sides, and you're done. And my next upgrade is probably to drill a little hole in my hitch pins and somehow run a string and attach them somehow to the hub so I'm not always dropping them in the grass and looking for them. Thank you and happy building!